Hi, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Let me just share my screen. And you are the one you attended yesterday's class, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Let's continue. Actually, first let me tell you, this is an add-on kind of batch. Last week we started one batch in the same timing. We have some students there, and this is an add-on batch. So that if we get some students, we will just combine them into that particular batch itself. And the batch timing is from same 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. IST. Okay, this is our last demo, and tomorrow the link will be changed. You will be added if you are interested, and if you get registered, you will be added to my previous students. Okay.
So, ma'am, how many classes they have done?
We finished two concepts, but don't worry, I will cover the concepts again for you. It will be a kind of revision for them. I already informed to them. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So, and tomorrow, Nishant, I'll take one more class tomorrow. And if actually, I want to show you the installation process of MySQL tomorrow. So please log in by using your laptop so that I
Sure,
can,
sure, ma'am.
we
Sure,
can
ma'am.
share your screen
Ma'am,
and we can
ma'am,
just
how many
install.
students are there in that class?
We have 5 students in that class.
Okay, ma'am. No problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah. So yes, as I already have, software in my system. If you can able to log in by using your laptop, I'll ask you to share your screen and I'll just show you the process of the installation in your system itself. Okay.
Ma'am, give me 2 minutes.
Okay. Not today,
Okay.
tomorrow.
Okay, ma'am. No
Okay,
problem. Tomorrow,
tomorrow.
ma'am. No problem.
Tomorrow. Okay. This
Okay,
is the
ma'am.
second demo and last demo. If you get registered, you will
Okay,
get
ma'am.
one link.
Yes, ma'am.
Use that link. Mhm.
I'll register it today, ma'am, for sure.
Okay, sure, sure.
Okay,
So just use that link and join. Then, but join by using your laptop so that we can finish the installation process and we can continue with the remaining concepts.
sure, ma'am. Sure.
Perfect. So let's continue. Yesterday we discussed about what is SQL, what is database. We created one database. We activated the database, right? Again, if you can see, now only I open my workbench. All my databases list we can see towards the left side. Again, nothing, no database is in activation. So every time whenever we started working, we need to activate the database first, and then we need to work on it. Okay. So let me just activate once again. SQL demo is the database which we created yesterday. Let's activate that again by using the use command. I'm just executing this line once again. It got activated. Right now we can just use this database. Okay. The next concept is, let's learn how to create a table. Same syntax, however we learned an Oracle SQL Server, whatever it is, everywhere same syntax of creating a table, right? You said you already have the basic knowledge of Oracle Server, right? Oracle
A
SQL,
little,
right?
little
Little bit,
bit, ma'am.
yeah. No problem. So we created the database as I said yesterday. Inside the database only we will create tables, right? Now that is the reason we created the database. First we are going to create a table. Yesterday in Excel file I shown you one sample table, right? Like employees table in which we wrote employee ID, employee name, like some columns, right? Let's try to create the same table now. And create the table, actually create is one of the command which is used to create any database objects. Okay, database objects in the sense it can be table, it can be views, it can be stored procedures, it can be functions, like that. Okay, so for now we are concentrating on the tables. Let's see the table creation syntax. Create table, table name. I'm writing the syntax here. After writing table name, within the parenthesis we need to use column names. In each table what we are doing, we are defining some columns, right? So whatever columns we wanted to define, we will write that column names. Suppose column name 1, but for each and every column name we need to define a data type here. What is data types? I'll just explain you in a while. Okay, so column name 2, data type, like that. How many columns we want, that many columns we can define, but for each column name we need to define a data type. Once we define all the column names, we will close the parenthesis or bracket like this. Okay, within the parenthesis we will generally giving, we are creating a table here. Okay, basically create command is used to create the table. We are creating a table structure here. Okay, we will give the table name, and inside the table whatever columns we wanted to create, that column names we will define inside parentheses, and for each column name we need to define a data type. Let's see.
Okay, ma'am.
Create table employees. Inside parentheses I'm just giving some column names here: employee ID, employee name. I'll define data types later. So employee ID, employee name, maybe salary column, date of joining. Okay, this four are my columns here. Okay, as I said, whenever we are creating tables, for each column we need to define the data type as well. First, before completing this create statement, let's try to understand first what is data types basically. Okay, then let's get back here and let's define data types for this table. Okay, so data types. What is data type? In the sense, actually data type is something by using which it will only help us to understand what kind of, actually by using data type only we will decide what type of value can be stored in that in any particular column. Okay, let me repeat. Data types is used to decide what kind of value we can store in any column. Okay, in any
Okay,
columns
ma'am.
we will decide what type of value we can store by using data types only. Let me just quickly open Excel file. So here what we did, we defined employees table. Here in this we defined some columns: employee ID, employee name, salary, and date of joining, right? And I entered some data also. Okay, suppose here if you observe, this is an Excel file. I wrote some data inside a table. Okay, just imagine I'm talking about Excel file. This is a salary column. We know this is the employees table and employee names are something, salary is something. But generally we have idea that if it is salary we need to enter numbers only, right? Suppose in Excel file if I'm randomly entering some other data, it is accepting, correct? It is not throwing me any error stating as this is salary column you should enter only number. It is not saying me like that, right? This is a one of the drawback of Excel. If we enter any data randomly it will accept, it won't throw us any error. If knowingly or unknowingly if we are entering any irrelevant data it will just accept. Okay, this is one of the drawback of Excel file.
Okay, ma'am.
As we discussed yesterday, we are generating lots of data on daily basis, right? So for that reason we need databases to store the data, correct? Suppose if the world today is depending upon the data and we are generating lots of data every day, if we use this types of this kind of systems, that is something like Excel file, which is even not which is even not alerting us whenever we did some mistake. So if that is the case, it will be it is not that good, right? It is not alerting us, it is not saying us that we are doing mistakes, correct? So due to
Yes, sir.
this drawbacks whatever we are having in Excel, databases came into existence. And this problem whatever we got, it is just accepting whatever data it is we are just entering in the Excel file, correct? But to get rid of this problem only, in databases we will use data types basically. Okay, for each and every column, we will define a data type. What kind of value we wanted to enter. Suppose if it is numbers. In salary column, we know we will enter numbers, right? Accordingly, we will define some data types so that it accepts only numbers like that. Okay. That is about the data type. That is what I wrote. Data type is used to decide what kind of value we can store. That is, if it is salary, I can store only numbers, right? Like
Okay,
that.
ma'am.
And let's discuss types of data types now. We have basically first numerical data type. It is further divided into int and float. We have two types of data types in numerical data types. Okay, that is first one. Second one, character or string data type. Okay, again we have two data types in this, that is char and varchar. Next, third, date time data type, in which we are having date data type and date time data type. Okay, these three are the data types which we use most frequently in SQL. Okay, let me just show you one figure quickly. You can see here SQL data types. First, numerical data type, we have int and float here. Okay, again in numerical we have two types. Integer, in the sense we can allow only, I mean we can write only numbers. Okay, whenever we wanted to store numbers in any column, we will define that data type as int. Okay, if we are defining float, that means it will accept decimal values also along with the numbers. It will accept only numbers also, along with that it will accept decimal values also for float. Okay, next, character or string data type is we again in this, actually if we will store only character data. Okay, suppose for employee name, that is a character data, right? For those kind of data we will use char or varchar. And what is char, what is varchar, I'll explain you in a while. Okay, next
Okay.
we have date and time data type, in which again we are having two, that is date data type and date time data type. Here date data type, in the sense we can store only dates. Okay, and the format, only dates we will store, and we need to use this format only: year, month, date. Exactly this format only we need to use here for like complete year, month, and then date. If we use any another format, it won't accept. That is for date. And for date time, if we wanted to store along with the time, we will use date time, date and time together, then we will use this data type: year, month, date. We'll give some space, and we can also mention hour, minute, second, like this. This is the format for entering date time data. So integer, as I said, only numbers. Float, in the sense numbers as well as decimals. Char and varchar we will discuss. Date, whenever we wanted to store dates, you will use dates. Like this, the format is this one. Date time, along with the date we can even store uh, you know time also. Okay, one more data type also we are having. Very rarely we will use this data types. Mostly 99% these three data types only we will use in SQL. But we have one more data type, that is Boolean. Okay, whenever we want only the values to be expected in a column, that is true or false, then we will use Boolean. It won't accept any other values, only true or false. Okay, the data type would be Boolean.
Okay, ma'am.
Perfect. So these are the data types. Now let's just rewrite this create table syntax. So for employee ID, we know we are going to store IDs, in the sense in numbers. So we can use int data type, right? After writing column name, we need to mention the data type. This is the syntax: first column name, then data type, right? For employee name, for now I'm using char. And every time whenever we are giving the no whenever we are defining character data, for character data it may be char or varchar, we can use anything. What is that difference, I will explain you in a while. But whenever we are using character data, we need to define a size. We need to define size. That is, for example, for employee name I'm using char, and every time for character data, after either I can use char or varchar, but after writing that, within the parentheses I will mention the size. That means here basically I'm storing 20 bytes of memory for employee name column. Okay, I define the size as 20. So that means I can enter up to 20 letters or 20 characters only for employee name. If I entered any greater than 20, for example, let me write it as 10, I can enter up to 10 characters only in this column. If I enter any 11 letter word, it won't accept. It will throw me error. Like that. For character data, every time we need to define the size, and whatever size we defined, within that particular size only we can enter the data. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Let's see this with one example actually. First we will finish this syntax. For salary, Again, we know salary in the sense numbers, but here either I can use int or float accordingly. Let's use float because float will accept normal numbers as well as decimal values. Sometimes we may have like 1.2 lakhs like that, right, in decimals. Like that is the reason wherever we feel that we may have decimal values, we can write float because normal numbers also it will accept, decimal values also it will accept. Okay. And date of joining, I'm just defining date as a data type. Okay. So this is how we will write a create table syntax. Now let's just execute this. I'm selecting everything, I'm executing. You can see it got executed successfully. Okay. Now we
Yes,
created
ma'am.
employees table, and to reflect this table here in this table section, we need to just refresh here. We are having refresh button. I'm just refreshing this. Then under SQL demo tables, I can able to expand now. And if I'm expanding, I can see employees, whatever table we created, we can able to see that table name here, right? And especially here, once we click on these employees at the bottom, you can even find the information section here where it will show us the table name, column names, and the data types we used. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Normally also whenever we are working, if we wanted to check, what, how many columns are there, what are the data types, we will just randomly select like this and we can check. At the bottom it will show like students table, this many columns, this is the data types, and if I am having any primary key also it will show. What is primary key we will discuss later. Okay. So yeah, this is how we will create the table. Okay. Now we only created table structure, that is in here I just gave the table name and we created the column names. Table structure is created. Now we need to insert the data. Okay. Let's see about how we will insert the data. Inserting data. For inserting data, basically we will use insert command. Okay. So insert command syntax will be insert into table name. We need to use a keyword called as values. And after that, within the parentheses, we can enter any values. Let's see example. Insert into table name as employees, right? So insert into table names, I'll write it as values. Within the parentheses, let's enter the values. For example, whatever we wrote here, the same thing let's write. So first employee ID is 1. Employee name I'm entering randomly. Next, what is that? Salary, 50,000. Date of joining, 2021. As I said, first year, then month, then date. Okay. If you observe here, for character data and for dates, I'm mentioning quotes. Either we can use single quotes or double quotes, no problem, but we need to write that data inside quotes. Character data and dates data. Numbers only normally we will write. Okay. And here actually what we are doing, insert into table name. After that, we will write values keyword, and after that, what we will do basically within the parentheses we will enter the values. Okay. So this will be my first column data, that is employee ID data. This will be my employee name data, salary, and date of joining. So basically we are using a separator called as comma here. Whenever we write something inside comma, inside the parentheses, if we are using comma, SQL will understand this is the first column data, this is second column data, like that. However, we define the table name in that inside the table name, however in which sequence we define the column names, in that sequence only we need to enter the data. Okay. This is my first row of data. Next,
Okay,
to
ma'am.
enter the second row, again after closing the parenthesis we need to keep a comma, and again within the parenthesis I can enter my second row of data. Okay. Like this. Okay, in the parentheses, whatever we will write, that will be our first row of data. Again, we will use a separator comma. Then this will be our second row of data. Like that, how many rows we want, we can enter that much of data. Okay, let's enter 3 rows. I entered 3 rows, and let's insert. If we want, we can write it in the second line or third line also. I'm just selecting everything, and this is the insert button, and I mean, this is the execute button, and I'm executed. If you see, it got executed successfully, right? So, hi Rekha, can you hear me?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi. So I saw you just connected, I guess. So I'm just explaining about, how to create the tables and how to insert the data. Before going forward, could you please tell me a little bit about yourself? Like, are you from IT background, or do you have, little bit knowledge on SQL, or are you completely new to SQL?
No, ma'am. I completed bachelor's.
Sorry, you completed?
Bachelor's.
Okay.
2007.
Okay. So you are completely new to SQL, right?
Yes.
Okay, no problem. Actually, we just started, about explaining about SQL. Okay, let me quickly, Nishant, if it is okay for you, and quickly, I'll just try to explain once
Man,
again about.
perfectly okay, man.
Yeah,
Man, perfectly okay, no problem.
great, Rika. So let me just once again revise whatever we discussed till now. Okay, so that it will be helpful for you. First of all, to be precise, let me introduce myself. I'm Divya. I have about 8+ years of experience into data analytics. Currently, I'm working as a senior data analyst in one of the MNCs in Hyderabad, and I completed my master's in data science. I have experience in teaching all the data science subjects like SQL, Tableau, Power BI, Python, statistics, and machine learning. Okay, so with DurgaSoft, I'm explaining MySQL and Tableau, two subjects. Okay, so this is a MySQL course. As you know, first of all, SQL in the sense, if it is any field, if it is data science field, if it is full stack, whatever job role you select in IT department, everywhere SQL is the basic subject, the minimum subject to learn everyone. And whoever is trying to, even is trying to transit the career from non-IT to IT, or else in the IT field, whoever is just trying to start their career initially along with the SQL, they can do it perfectly. Okay, first point. Let's try to understand what is SQL now. SQL in the sense, the full form is structured query language. Okay, basically we know we will generate lots of data nowadays, right? And to maintain that data, to store that data, all the companies are using databases to store the data. We have something called as database. That is, we know Excel files generally, right? In Excel file also we can store the data like that. If we are, but in Excel file we have some limitations. We can store up to 1 million rows only. Okay, so and we have so many limitations in Excel file. In daily basis, as we are generating lots and lots of data, databases came into existence where, according to the, usage, we can just scale up the performance. I mean, we can just scale up the size of the databases, basically any companies. Okay, let's not get into that technical part. Database is something where we can store the data. Okay, so every companies nowadays, they are using databases to store their data. So definition of database is nothing but it is a collection of data, where, or else I can say, where the place where we will store the data. Okay, now if we are storing data inside databases, definitely whenever we wanted to see some data, whenever we wanted to analyze some data, we need to use SQL. SQL is a language basically which is used to communicate with the database. Okay, I'm saying that we are storing the data in the databases, right? To store the data also, we will use some commands in SQL. Like, completely to just storing the data, to maintaining the databases, whatever requirements we have. Okay, if we have any requirements, if we wanted to display some data, analyze some data, whatever it is, if we are storing data in the databases, to communicate with the database, to if according to our requirements to do something with the database, we will use SQL as a language. Okay, that is what I wrote. It is a SQL is a language used to communicate with the database. Okay, and this is the tool which you can see in my screen is MySQL Workbench. Okay, basically I hope I'm clear about what is database and what is SQL definition, right, Rekha?
Okay.
Yeah. So now SQL is a universal declared language. Okay, it is a language. Basically, all the concepts what we will have in the SQL only. Okay, to use that language, we are having different tools in the market. Okay, like Oracle SQL, MySQL, SQL Server, PostgreSQL, like that. We are having so many tools. Like how we are having many companies of Android phones, like Samsung, OnePlus. Just companies are different, but the phone usage will be same, right? In the same way, SQL is one subject. All the concepts are belongs to SQL. To use the SQL, we are having different tools. Oracle SQL and MySQL are the tools from the Oracle company, and SQL Server is a tool from the Microsoft company. Like that, each and every companies is having its own tools, and all the other remaining companies are using these tools to maintain SQL. Okay, to use SQL to maintain their databases basically. And the reason why we are focusing on MySQL tool, in the sense it is an open source platform, that is it is freely available. MySQL is freely available to everyone. That is the reason nowadays in many companies they are preferring to use MySQL. Okay, if not MySQL also, as I said, the concepts of SQL will be same. If you learn this course, if you learn all the concepts, or if you learn MySQL, you can apply all these concepts in Oracle SQL and SQL Server as well, because the syntaxes, the concepts, everything will be same. Tools will be different, that's it. Okay, now basically what we will do here, we will store suppose in Excel file I wrote we will, as I said, first to maintain the data we will have database. Okay, database is a place where we will store the data, right? Inside the database basically we will create a tables, and inside the tables we will store the data. Okay, so as I said, first we need, I mean, if suppose one company is there, Capgemini or anything, TCS, one company is there, they will maintain their own database. For suppose these are all service providers, right? For if we are dealing, if we are working on any project, whatever client we are working for, we will work on the client's database. Okay, so we will have each companies have their own database, and inside that database obviously they will store data in the form of tables. Okay, so first here also we will learn, starting we will start learning from the databases concept. First we will create the database, inside the database we will create the tables, and inside the tables we will store the data. Okay, basically tables how we will create, in the sense it will be in the form of rows and columns, like this. If in Excel file I just created one table. Okay, suppose employees is a table, I wanted to store employees data, so employees is my table name. And as I said, table is a collection of rows and column, right? So vertical part is called as row, sorry, vertical part is called as column. Okay, horizontal part is called as row. That is this thing. Employee ID is one column. In employees table, basically I'm storing employee ID, employee name, salary, and date of joining as a data. Okay, this is one column. Employee name is one column, salary is one column, date of joining is one column. And inside, after creating the tables, we will insert the data, right? This is my one row of the data, this is my second row of the data. Like that, table is a collection of rows and columns. Okay, so that is about the tables, and this is about the basic understanding of what is SQL and what is databases. Basically, this complete SQL, it runs on RDBMS, that is Relational Database Management System. Okay, what is Database Management System? In the sense, as I said, inside the database we will store all the tables, right? We will create all the tables, and inside the tables only we will store the data. So if the tables are related to each other, then that is called as RDBMS. So in these tools, in MySQL, basically in SQL, we will have multiple tables. Okay, if the tables are related to each other, then that is called as RDBMS. And definitely, what in SQL, all the tables will be related only. SQL runs on RDBMS only. Okay, that is, we need to create the tables in such a way that there should be some relation between the tables. Okay, so that is about the basic understanding. Next, this is MySQL Workbench. Okay, so let me just quickly show you the user interface here. So I'm just closing this. This is MySQL Workbench. Tomorrow I'll show you the installation process. So once we open MySQL Workbench, we can able to see like this. We need to click on local instance, and then we will be redirected to this page. Towards the left side, we can see all these things. These are the nothing but databases, the list of databases available in my laptop. Okay, below schemas we can find the list of databases. Whenever you install for the first time, we can able to see only sys database. Okay, by default we will have only one database, that is sys. Once after you create any databases, you can see the list of databases like this. Okay, and this is the canvas base, this is the editor page basically, where we will write the code. Okay, this is called as a SQL file. To open a new SQL file, we will have two options. This is called as menu bar, this is called as toolbar. In menu bar we have file option. Inside file, if we click on new query tab, one new Excel file will open. Okay, either this option or else shortcut to open a new SQL file is this one, the first icon in the toolbar. Okay, if I'm clicking this option, one more new file got opened, right? Either I can go to file and click on new query tab, or else directly I can click this option. Simply, if I'm clicking this option, new file is getting opened, where we will write all the syntaxes. Okay, next, once I open my SQL file, I can write anything here. Okay, so after writing something, if I wanted to save this file in my laptop, the second icon here within the file, I can see the second icon, save button, right? If I'm clicking on save button, I can able to store this SQL file in my laptops. Okay, and if I wanted to open already saved file, we need to use this first option, that is folder icon. If I'm clicking this icon, I can able to open any of our already saved files. For example, I'm just opening some joins concept file. You can see like this. I just opened the file which I already saved. Okay, so that is about these two options. Third option is nothing but execute button. Okay, after writing every syntax, we will basically execute here to get the output. So third icon is execute button. Okay, so once we write any queries here, we need to select that query and we need to execute here. And after that, this at the bottom, whatever you will see, this is the output section. Basically, we will get if the statements executed successfully, or if we get any errors, we can see in this section. Okay, so this is a basic understanding of user interface of MySQL. For now, this is enough. Going forward, remaining options we can discuss if needed. Okay, so now before starting, as I said, SQL is a language which is used to communicate with the database, and SQL is case insensitive. That is, we can use upper cases, lower letters or upper cases, anything is fine. Capital letters or small letters, it will accept. Both are same. Okay, and the next point is comments. In every programming language, we will have something called comments. Okay, that is, whenever we are writing something, if we don't want that to execute, we will write inside comments. If you observe, I wrote this point inside the symbol, that is two hyphens. That means whatever I write here is a comment, because comment, whatever we write inside comments are non-executable. If we don't want to execute something, we will write inside comments basically. So I think she got disconnected for some reasons. Let's see if she come back. I'll continue. So I hope this all these things are clear for you, right, Nishant? So basically we created database. We activated the database. We created the table. Rekha, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I think you got disconnected in between. All right, no problem. So let me continue. I'm saying that we have something called as comments. That is, in every programming language, we have comments. That is single line comments or multi-line comments. Whatever we write inside comments, that is non-executable. If we don't want to execute something, we will write inside comments. In our course, I will write the notes, theory parts of notes inside comments like this. Okay. And to write single line comments, we are having two symbols, either this two hyphens, which I wrote here. If I'm writing two hyphens here and if I write something, that is called as a single line comment. Or else either we can use hash also like this. If I use hash and if I write something, that is again, we will consider it as a comment. Okay. Just for knowledge purpose, I'm explaining these points. Single line comments, we will write like this. Either we will use this symbol or else we will use this symbol. Okay. Next, multi-line comments, in the sense we need to, if we are writing some multiple lines as a comments, something like 2-3 lines as a paragraph I wanted to write as a comments, we will use like this. Hash star to start the comments, and in between we can write anything, and to close star and hash. Okay. This is called as multi-line comments. Multiple lines if we wanted to write as a comments. That is, if I don't want to execute this just for something like notes, I wrote something here, then I will use comments basically. Okay. Next, let's actually start our concepts. As I said, in SQL, first we will create the database. After creating the database, we will create tables and we will store the data, right? Database is a collection of data. Now let's see here in SQL, for each and every concept we will have syntaxes. Okay, we will have some syntaxes. We need to follow syntax, in the sense we can say it is a kind of rule. We need to follow that rule or only to create, to do all the things. Okay, so likewise for creating database also we have a syntax. The syntax is create database name. Okay, we need to remember the syntaxes. Just with practice we can able to remember, no problem. Okay, so create database name is our syntax, and that is what I wrote. This is the syntax, and we created SQL demo as a database. Create database, this is my database name. We gave SQL demo as a database name. Okay. And let me execute this, but as I already executed, as we already created this database name, I cannot create once again. If we create, it will throw us error. Let's see. Okay. So I selected this. To execute, I need to click this button, right? I'm selecting this button. You can see I got the error stating can't create database SQL demo, database exists. That is, whenever we are creating the database, we need to give unique name. We cannot give same name. If we are giving same name, it will throw us error stating database already exists. Okay. So just to show you, I'm just changing this name as SQL demo 1. Okay. Now I will select this and I will execute. It will be executed. Okay, we created a database called as SQL demo 1. To see this database name in this list, basically we need to refresh here. We have a refresh button beside schemas. If I'm clicking this refresh button, you can see I got SQL demo 1, right? Whatever database we created, we get to see that database here. Correct. So every time after creating database in SQL, we need to activate the database, because here I'm having so many databases. SQL will get confused what database we are going to use. For that reason, we need to activate first, then only we will do any other things. Okay, that is, we can execute any other uh, concepts or syntaxes. Okay, so we created the database. Now I need to activate the database. To activate the database, we will use command. Okay, this is the syntax. Use database name is the syntax. That is what we wrote. use database name SQL demo is there row. I'll just rename it as SQL demo 1. Okay. Now I'll just select this and I'll execute. Now observe, immediately after executing, this SQL demo 1 is got activated. That means it got highlighted here, right? Now SQL will understand we are going to use this particular database. Whatever syntaxes we will execute, all those things will be executed under this database only. Okay, like that every time whenever we are going to use, we need to activate the database. Without activating, if we execute something, it will throw us error because SQL won't understand which database to use basically. Okay, in real time, actually, as we will work for only one database, that is our client's database, no need of using this activating. But in learning process, as we will have multiple databases, we are activating the database. Okay, am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. So we created the database, we activated the database. Inside the database, we need to create tables now. Okay, this is the create table syntax. So to create the table, we will use create command and the syntax will be create table name. Inside the table name, here what we did, I gave the same table we are going to create. Employees is our table name. Inside we used 4 columns: employee ID, employee name, salary, date of joining, right? Whenever we are creating a table, we will use create command, and after writing table name, we need to define the column names within the parentheses. Okay, and the syntax will be like this: create table name. Within the brackets or within the parentheses, we will define like this: column name 1 and column name 2. How many columns we want, that many column names we will define. But for each and every column name, we need to define the data type as well. Okay, what is data type? In the sense, data type is something which is used to decide what kind of value we can store inside that particular column. Okay, inside any column, what kind of value we should actually store will be decided by using data types. Why data types? In the sense, if you can see here in this Excel file, this is our data, right? We have employee ID, employee name, salary, and date of joining. We know that in the date of joining column, generally we will store dates only. In salary column, we need to store numbers only. But randomly, if I'm storing any other thing, in Excel file, it is allowing me to enter, right? It is not throwing me any error stating this is date of joining column. You wrote some wrong data. You need to actually enter dates. It is not saying me like that. Whatever I'm entering, it is just accepting, right? This is one of the drawback of Excel actually, correct? Whenever we are storing this much of data, whenever we are depending completely on the data, I mean, nowadays all the companies, we are depending on the data only, right? If we are maintaining this kind of systems, then it will be, that will be a big mess. It will create a big mess. Whatever data if we enter also, it will accept, right? So due to these reasons, due to this drawbacks only, databases came into existence. Here, to get rid of this problem, whatever we did here in salary, if I'm entering some wrong data, if I'm entering high also, it is accepting. Actually, what should be the thing? In salaries, we should enter only numbers, right? So that kind of thing, if we enter any wrong data, here data types will help us to actually enter the correct data here. That is what I wrote. It is used to decide what kind of value we can store in any column. Okay, we will have some data types. Accordingly, we will know obviously what type of data we are going to enter in any columns, right? Accordingly, we need to define the data type. If it is numbers, we will use int. If we defined already int as a data type, and if I used any other data, it will throw me error. Okay, that is the concept. Whatever drawback we had in Excel file, to get rid of that drawbacks only, we are using data types concept in SQL. Okay, so like that, for whenever we are creating table itself, for every column we need to define a data type. Okay, so we have this many data types in SQL. First one is numerical data type. Okay, let's see this picture: numerical data type. Second one, character or string data type. In numerical data type, we will store numbers. Okay, again it is further divided into two types: int and float. Int in the sense it will accept only numbers. Float in the sense it will accept numbers as well as decimal values. Okay, normal numbers also float will accept, decimal values also it will accept, like 1.2, 2.4, like this. Okay, next character or string data type, anything is same. Okay, so whenever we wanted to store character data, we will use this character or string data type. In this we are having two types again, char and varchar. What is char, what is varchar, I'll just explain you in a while. Okay, next we are having date and time data type. So in this again it is divided into two types. One is date data type, which is used to store all the date values. Date time data type, which is used to store date as well as time. Okay, and that is what I wrote. Okay, this is the format for storing the dates. First year, then month, then date. Okay, within the quotes we need to write all these things. In date and time, this is the format. If we wanted to store date as well as time, we will use date time data type. Okay, and next, basically these three data types only we will use most frequently in SQL. 99% we will use this three only. Again, we will have one more data type called as Boolean. That is, if we wanted to use only true or false in our data, we will use Boolean data type. Okay, so this is about the data types. I hope I'm clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. If you have any doubts, you can just ask me, guys.
Clear, ma'am.
Perfect. So now let's see. We understood what are the data types, right? So now let's see in create syntax. As I said, for every column we need to define the data type. That is what we did here. For employee ID, I know I'm going to enter the numbers. That is the reason I used int as a data type. Every time whenever I'm creating table itself, table name, within the brackets I will write column name, and for that particular column name we need to define the data type. Okay, for employee name I used char as a data type, and every time whenever we are using character data we need to define a size. Okay, this is one point, we need to define size definitely. To define the size, after writing char or varchar, within the brackets we will mention some size. That means here for employee number I used 10 as the size. That is, I can enter up to only 10 letter words, only 10 characters I can enter for employee name column. If I enter any 11 letter word, it won't accept, it will throw me error. So basically, if for every character data, we will mention some size, and according to that size only, we need to enter the data. Okay, I'll just explain this in a while very clearly. Okay, next, salary column. For salary column, we define float as a data type, because sometimes we may have decimal values also in salary, like 1.5 lakhs, like that, right? Float, it accepts only numbers also as well as decimals also. And next, for date of joining, I used date as a data type. Like that we need to write, and I selected everything. And let's create actually here, as we are using another you know database, I changed it, right? So I can create this table now. As I selected, I'm executing, you can see the table got executed. Correct. Now we created the table, we need to insert the data, right? Like that we created table structure, I just gave the column names. Now I wanted to inside data inside. To insert the data, to enter the data, basically we will use insert command. Insert is one command used to insert the data. Okay, and the syntax is insert into table name. Values is a keyword which I need to use, and after that within the parenthesis, within the brackets, we need to enter the data. Okay, so that is what we did. Insert into employees, values, and within that I wrote data like this. This will be my first row of data. Within the parentheses I need to write in the same sequence we need to follow. In whatever sequence we created column names, in that sequence only I need to enter the data. I am using a separator called as comma here, which by which SQL will understand this will be my first column data, this will be second column, third column, like that. Once I close this bracket, SQL will understand this is my first row of data, then I'll keep a comma, and this will be my second row of data. Likewise, how many rows we want, that many rows we can create basically. Okay, and if you observe, for character data and date data types data, I used quotes here. Either we can use single quotes or double quotes, no problem. Okay, basically for numbers only we will write normally. For character data and for dates we will use quotes, single quotes or double quotes. Okay, like this we inserted. Let me just select this, and I'm executing. This is the execute button, it got executed successfully. Okay. Now, here let me refresh this. After refreshing, I can able to see table section. If I'm expanding, I can able to see employees like this. If I'm selecting employees, at the bottom left will have information section in which it is showing all my column names and data types whichever I define, right? Now I inserted data also to display the data. Basically what we did, we created table, we inserted data. To display the data, we use select command. Okay, so the syntax will be simple: select star from table name. Okay, so this is the syntax. Here star in the sense, technically we will call it as asterisk. Okay, if we want to display the complete data from the table, we will use asterisk. Use it to display complete data. Let's see. If I say select star from employees, I'm just selecting this and I'm executing. You can see I got the output like this. Whatever table we created, I got the output of that employees table. We used 4 columns. We used 3 rows to we inserted 3 rows here, right? This is a complete table. So to display the table data, we will use select command like this. As we used asterisk, it just showed me the complete data. If I wanted to see any particular data, I can use that column name. Suppose if I wanted to see inside select, I wanted to see employee ID, comma, salary. If or else I can write employee name, comma, salary. If I wanted to see only employee name, we need to write the same column name. E name I wrote, right? So if I wanted to see employee name and salary, I'll just mention that column names here from table name employees. If I'm mentioning asterisk, then it will display the complete data. If I wanted to see any particular data, I'll mention that particular column names. Here I mentioned employee name and salary. Then once I executed, I'll get to see only that particular columns, right? Like this, we will use select command to display the data. Am I clear, guys, up to here?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, one question.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, if suppose if we don't declare any data types in starting, then that by default it is character, I think.
If we don't define data types, by default, what it will take?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So actually, it won't accept only. Let's see. Suppose create table. I'm using students table in which I used SID. I'll use S name. Let's create this table. Let's execute. It will throw me syntax error. I need to definitely define a data type or else it won't accept. You can see
Okay,
you
ma'am.
will have an error
Okay,
in
ma'am.
SQL syntax, right?
Okay, ma'am. Okay,
Like
ma'am.
that. Definitely we need to use the data types.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Got it. Got
All
it.
right. So this is about the basic understanding or the basic, about how we will create the data types after or how we will create database. After creating, we need to activate the database. Then we need to create the table and what are the data types we are having and how we will insert the data and how we will display the data. Okay. I need to explain the difference between char and varchar, which I'll do it quickly. And as I said, this is from tomorrow, this is the only demo which we have for this batch, because in the last week we already created, we already started one batch and we have 5 students over there. This is a kind of add-on batch. Whoever will get registered today, for them tomorrow you will get a new link and we will just continue with
Sure,
the
ma'am.
classes. Okay, the
Sure,
timing
ma'am.
will be same, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. IST. Okay, and as you attended today, you will get a mail from our admin team. You can just follow the process to get registered. As you know, the course duration is of 35 days and the course fees is of only 3,000. And
Okay, ma'am.
you will also get the course content link in your mail. Let me just, this is the course content link. Okay, all these courses, all these concepts we are going to cover. And here especially the speciality of this course is that we are going to use a real-time database here, that is Netflix database, or I can say movies database.
Okay,
By
ma'am.
using this
Okay.
real-time database only, we will learn all the concepts. Okay,
Sure,
because in
ma'am.
this we
Sure.
will Great, because in this we will have real-time data, right? Instead of creating 3-4 rows of data, and instead of learning all the concepts on that data, once we get into any company also, we will deal with real-time database where we'll have thousands of rows, right? So in learning process also, we are just using some real-time database where we are having, many tables and thousands of data. If we learn to handle this kind of data, then that will be easy for us, right? That is the reason we are going to concentrate. We are going to use this real-time database. I'll give you this database. I'll show you how to restore this in your systems. And from here, all the main concepts I will cover by using this this database only. Okay. Any doubts, Rekha?
No, ma'am.
Perfect. So now let's see what is char and varchar. Suppose for employee name, I used char as a data type and I defined the size as 10, right? Imagine now what happened. As for employee name, I used char as my data type and I gave size as 10. As I said, for every character data, we need to define a size. As I gave a size as 10, let me divide this box into 10 parts. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 10 parts I did. This is what SQL will do in the backend. It won't create the box like this, but just to make you understand, I'm showing like this. Okay. So as I define the size as 10, I just divided this into 10 parts. And for employee name column, I used 10 as the size. That means basically I'm allocating, just a second. I'm allocating 10 bytes of memory here. Okay. So each character, whatever I enter, suppose if I enter some John as a name, okay, J I will write in this box, O I will write in this box, H N, okay, that is each character, for each character SQL will use 1 byte of memory. If I entered 10 bytes of memory here, that is I used 10 as the size to define a character data, right? 10 size as defined in the same 10 bytes of memory is allocating at the backend for this employee name column. Okay, so like this, each name, I mean, whatever data we enter for each character, it will use one byte of memory. Suppose here I allocated 10 bytes of memory for employee name column. I used only 4 bytes of memory, right? Left over, I'm having 6 bytes of memory. I'm not using this memory basically, right? Because I entered only John as my name and it is a 4-letter word, right? Remaining, I was left over with 6 bytes of memory. If we are using char, this 6 bytes of memory will be used by a blank spaces like this. SQL will use or whatever data we enter. If after entering data, if any bytes of memory is still there, still left over, all those bytes of memory will be given by some spaces here. That is, irrespective of whatever data we enter, SQL will use a complete size here if we are using char. Okay, suppose if I enter Ram as a word, only 3 bytes of memory I will use, and remaining 7 bytes of memory SQL will use blank spaces actually. That is, it will use complete 10 bytes of memory if I use char. For char it will happen. Am I clear? Any doubts, guys? Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Okay, so here what is happening if I'm using char, memory wastage is happening here, right? My memory is getting wasted because I am entering only 3-letter word. If I enter any 4-letter word also, suppose if I use, for example, if I define 50 as a size here, all the remaining bytes of memory will be getting wasted because for each byte of memory, it will allocate with a blank space. Whatever size we define, that complete size will be used if I am using a char. Okay, by this I can say if we use char, our memory will get wasted. Okay, if it is varchar, the exactly opposite. Let's see. If I am using varchar, we need to define for same employee name column if I'm using varchar and if I'm using 10 as a size. Okay. Now what will happen? Let me just use a different color as we are running out of the time. I'm not dividing the box again. Same here also, as I took the size as 10, I can just divide this box into 10 equal parts. And here, if suppose I entered same John as a word. First box J will be there, second O, H, N. Okay, 4 bytes of memory is used. Again, for varchar also, suppose I define varchar as a data type and I entered 4-letter word, like this 4 bytes of memory will be used. Whatever left over 6 bytes of memory won't be used by employee name column. This 4 bytes, this 6 bytes of memory, whatever left over, what varchar will do, it will give this memory back to the database. Okay. So what is the concept here? Whatever we define the size in varchar, no problem. Whatever data we entered, that much of memory only it will use. Remaining all data, it will just give back to the database. So that I can say here memory won't be wasted, right? In varchar, if I use varchar, suppose if I used 50 as size also, no problem. If I enter only 10-letter word, remaining 40 bytes of memory, it will just give back to the database. Memory wastage won't happen in varchar. Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
this is the
Clear.
basic difference about char and varchar. If we are using char, in which scenarios we will use char? That is the reason. Due to this, if as we don't want to waste our memory, in most of the scenarios we will use varchar only. Okay. In which scenarios we will use char? In the sense, if we know what kind of data we are going to enter. Suppose for gender column, we know we will enter only male and female. That is, we know how much data we are going to enter. So like that, for that columns we can use, suppose I can use char and I can use the size as 6. That is okay. But for remaining columns, if we don't know how much data we are going to enter, if we use varchar, the memory won't be wasted. How much data we entered, that much bytes of memory only will be used. Remaining bytes of memory will be given back to the database. Okay. So this is a very important interview question also. They will ask you to tell the difference between char and varchar. If there is any doubts, we can discuss in the tomorrow's class also. No problem. Okay. We are all actually done with the time. And second difference is that in char we can store up to 255 bytes, 255 characters only. Up to 255 only I can store. That is, here as I wrote 10 as the size, like that up to 255 size I can use. In varchar we can use up to 64,000, something like 534 I guess. Like basically 64,000 characters we can store in varchar. Okay, this is one more difference. But basic difference is that if we use char, memory will be wasted. In varchar, memory won't be wasted. That is the reason we prefer to use varchar every time. Okay. So this is about char and varchar. And I hope I'm clear up to now, whatever we explained.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So as I said, Nishant, any one of you, please log in tomorrow by using your laptop so that we will first finish installation process and then we will continue with the class. As I said, this is an
Okay, ma'am.
add-on batch. We already have some students in the previous batch. You will be just added to them. Okay. So we are done with 2 more concepts for them. I already informed them. I'll continue. If they come also, I mean, they will actually come. I will just continue all the concepts for you as well slowly. It will be a kind of revision for them. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Sure.
Perfect, Rekha. Any
Sure, ma'am.
questions?
టైం ఏమన్నా చేంజ్ అవుతుందా?
No, this
8.
time only, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. only. Is this
Yes.
time not comfortable for you, Rekha?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but for this batch, this is the only time. As I said, we already have 5 students, so the same time.
Ma'am, this time is comfortable for me.
Yeah, great. All right, then let's connect tomorrow, guys.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
బ్యాకప్ క్లాసెస్ ఉంటాయా మేడం?
Backup classes ante deniki? అంటే ఈ బ్యాచ్ ఈ టైమింగ్ కాకుండా వేరే టైమింగ్ అని అడుగుతున్నావా? Sorry, Rekha, please repeat.
No, ma'am. No.
No, you can ask me. I mean, what kind of backup, like, if you want to listen once again about the whatever I said today. I mean,
What?
బ్యాకప్ క్లాసెస్ ఉంటాయని అడిగారు కదా, అంటే దేని గురించి?
అంటే క్లాసెస్ మిస్ అవుతాయి మళ్ళీ.
Yeah. Classes miss
Recording.
అవుతాయి అంటే actually we will give a live recordings. Actually, whatever I'm explaining in the class, the videos will be provided for you. You can watch that videos, and if you have any doubts, I will explain you in the class.
Okay.
Okay,
Like that. Once you get
ma'am.
register, you will get video access for 6 months. Okay, and I
Okay,
will
ma'am.
upload all the notes whatever I'm explaining here. Okay, in this same SQL files I will upload for you, where I will write all the theory part and examples like this. I will upload these notes for you, and videos access you will get for 6 months.
Okay, ma'am.
So if you didn't attend the class, you can watch the video, and almost all the concepts will be, suppose if today you didn't came, tomorrow also related concept will be only there, right? For the first 5 minutes, first I'll repeat 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll continue like that. If you have any doubts also, you can ask me. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
All right, guys, I'm
Ma'am, you
ending
said
this.
you are taking machine learning classes also?
Not with DurgaSoft right now. I'm taking only SQL and Tableau with them.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
All right, guys. Okay. Let me end the session. We are having another
Thank you,
session.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you,
All
ma'am.
right. Let's meet tomorrow. Bye.